CM 365, all about Carnatic music.
One Rasika actually wrote to me asking the Lakshana of the Raga Mukhari because of the fact that every time he listened to it, he was actually confusing it with Bhairavi because he found that there were many similarities between Mukhari and Bhairavi. And if there are so many similarities, where is the difference, he wanted to know. Well, of course, I must say that Bhairavi and Mukhari are allied ragas and they share many similarities in terms of the Arohana, Avarona, etc. But if you look deep into the phrases and the colors offered by the ragam, then you see that they are totally distinct. For this, of course, we have to look at it more intently to understand the Lakshana of both the ragas. Bhairavi, of course, we all know because we've heard so much, so many compositions and so many concerts we have heard, artists rendered it elaborately also. Let us look at Mukhari now today, which is an ancient pristine raga, which in bygone days actually occupied the status of a mela. And musicologists like Tulaji actually gave it that status of the mela, and there's also a reference to it in that. Textual references, if you look at it, to Raga Mukhari, because of the fact that it is a very, very ancient ragam, it is found to have a reference in the ancient treatises like right from Sangeetha Makaranda to Sangeetha Ratnakara. And Venkatamaki also makes a reference to this Mukhari and says that it is a Purva Prasiddha Mela, in the sense that this is a Mela or a ragam which existed even prior to his times. So that also shows the antiquity of the ragam. Apart from this, we also see that there are references to this Mukhari in other composers also. Like for example, Annamacharya, we see that in the copper plates found in the Tirumala temple, there are two compositions for which this Mukhari ragam is attributed. That is Akali Velala and another popular composition Nanati Praduku Natakamu. Of course, today that Nanati Praduku, we render it in Revati very popularly, but the copper plates actually mention the ragam for this as Mukhari. If you look at the compositions of Sri Purandaradasa, there also we find a mention of this ragam Mukhari for the composition Vasudeva Namavaliya, as well as another composition Pali Samma Muddu Sharade. Coming to Narayana Tirthar in his work Krishna Leela Tarangini, there we find a composition Krishnam Kalayasaki, which is mentioned again as to be composed in Mukhari. And of course, as far as this is concerned, I've also heard many Bhagavatas in the Bhajana tradition still sing it in the raga Mukhari, and in concerts also we see that the Mukhari as the raga for this particular composition is still retained. Now let us look at the Arohana Avarona of the ragam to see how it moves. Sari ma pa ni da sa, sa ni da pa ma ga ri sa. I repeat. Sari ma pa ni da sa, sa ni da pa ma ga ri sa. So first thing, it is a Bhashanga raga, just like Bhairavi. So if you want to look at actually the basic similarity, I would say that the occurrence of the Chatushruti Daivata in the Arohana as well as the Shuddha Daivata in the Avarohana is something which is similar for Bhairavi as well as Mukhari. But then the course which each ragam takes in terms of the movement of the notes is what makes both very distinct. For example, in Mukhari, Sari ma, that ma is a very powerful note. Similarly, pani da sa. So these are the two key phrases, I would say, which define Mukhari. Because in the Avarohanam you see that it's almost very similar to the Bhairavi. But again, here I would like to bring to your attention the facts that though it is Sanida Pa, the way the Sanida is rendered in Bhairavi and the way the same Sanida is rendered in terms of the Gamakas and the glides in Mukhari is totally different. And that's why you see that they have their own distinct colors also. If you look at the Arohana, you see that the dhatu, that is Chatushriti Daivata, is very, very dominant. Like for example, Sari ma pani da sa pani da ma pani da sa. While coming back, it's a more subdued kind of a Shuddha Devata. Sa ni da pa. So that's how it works. So the two Daivatas coming in parallelly, is what adds the beauty to Mukhari. Of course, the most important thing, of course, is the Sarima. That is also very, very important here. And we see that here, another taboo associated with Mukhari is that it's a very sad ragam, and it produces a lot of sorrow and pathos and all that. But if you look at the compositions of Tyagaraja, we see that he has composed about 10 compositions in Mukhari, and it is very amazing to see that each composition actually portrays a different rasa, like the Shringara rasa, Adbhuta rasa, like this many kinds of rasas are portrayed. So it's not just about the Shoka rasa which we associated with Mukhari. That way we could also say that it is a Bahu Ranga Raga, that is a ragam which can produce different kinds of colors, hues and colors for us to perceive. And we also see that in his compositions, Tyagaraja's compositions, the popular ones are Yenta Ninni Varnintu, then Karu Baru, then we also have Talachi Nandani, and then Pahimam Ratnachala Nayaka of Muthuswami Dikshidhar. Of course, Shivan's composition in Mukhari is very, very popular. The one Shiva Kama Sundari Jagadamba Vandarul Taldarul Shiva Kama Sundari Jagadamba Valdarul Taldarul Shiva Kama Sundari Jagadamba Vandarul Taldarul Shiva Kama Sundari. I would like to bring to your attention a very beautiful composition of Subbaraya Shastri, Yeoman in Ne, for the fact that in the opening phrase itself, how he very intricately brings out the contour of Mukhari is something worth really observing. So it goes like this. Yeoman in Ne Ni Mahima Telupu Dunam Mayema Ninne. Let's just look at the first phrase. Sanida. The way it glides, the Sanida is one typical glide of Mukhari. Then Yema Sanida Sa Rima. So beautifully the Mukhari flows here. Then Ni Re Ma Pa Ma Ye Ma Pa Ni Da Sa. So the entire what is the essence of Mukhari is brought out in the first phrase itself. Let me sing it fully for you to enjoy it better. Ye ma ninne ni mahi matalupu dunam maye ma ninne ni mahi matalupu dunam maye ma ninne. Anupallavi. Samajaga mini sarasa lochani. There is a beautiful swara sahityam here. I'll just sing the swara part for you to have a better understanding of the explicit nature of the swara movement. Re, re, ga, sa, ga, ri, sa, ni, pa, da, sa, sa, ri, ga, sa, ni, da, pa, da, sa, ri, ri, ga, sa, ga, ri, sa, ni, pa, da, sa, sa, ri, ga, sa, ni, da, pa, ma, pa, da, sa, ri, ma, pa, da, sa, ni, da, pa, ma, pa, da, sa, ri, ga, sa, ni, da, pa, ma, ga, ri, sa, ma, din. So this is actually a very beautiful ragam, and it can be appropriately, very aptly used for singing slokas, vrithams, etc. also, because it really stirs the emotion. The kind of notes, the gamakas, the flow of the notes, phrases, everything is very, very evocative in nature, and that way we see that this ragam is very pleasing and appealing when rendered in the concerts.
CM 365, all about Carnatic music.